can sit here and play.
That's right. All right, today I'm interviewing Kim Chaya. She has a lot of experience in a whole lot of different things, which is one of the reasons I wanted to interview you today, because I know you have a lot of interesting things to talk about. And specifically the fact that you've worked so much with nonprofits, because that's sort of something we haven't really talked about much in my schooling, and a lot of people are interested as entrepreneurs of doing nonprofits. So some of the sort of pitfalls and things you know about. So just if you want to talk about some of the nonprofits you've worked for, or just things you've done.
Things I've done. I've lived all over the country.
Yeah.
And well, I started, let me think about my first nonprofit. Technically I was a child care worker. It was special needs kids. But it was a nonprofit, but not in a management role of any kind. But I worked with children with special needs for 6.5 years.
Cool.
Many years ago, 25 years ago, I guess so. And I've worked with government twice, with towns and things like that. And then I've worked with nonprofits and not-for-profits. There's a little difference in them. Well, it's different levels. Like the chamber is a 501c6. You know, and my other nonprofits I've worked for have been 501c3s for the most part, which is what you typically think of as a nonprofit.
Okay.
That's your soup kitchens. I've directed the soup kitchen, the Red Cross, the nonprofits that are out there doing and helping people.
Right.
That community service type nonprofit. And so there's a difference. There's a difference in how money can be tax deductible for donors. For our membership here at the chamber, your membership fee is a business expense, it's tax deductible, but sponsorships are money that you donate. If somebody donated money to the chamber, it's not a tax deduction.
Oh wow.
But
to the other type,
yes, but the other type, 501c3s, it is. And so there's a lot that goes into what type of nonprofit you are. There are some serious differences, especially on the tax implication side.
Okay.
But yeah, I worked. I think Life Source Blood Services up in Illinois, I guess, was the first real nonprofit that I was involved in any kind of administrative. And I started out in the HR department as a HR assistant, secretary department, something or another.
Yeah.
And then moved into and took over benefits and did some HR generalists is what they're called. Some work in that with employee relations and hiring and all that wonderful stuff. And it was during that time I finally finished my degree after 8 years, 4 states, 4 universities, 3 kids, and a marriage. Navy sailor. Finally got that degree done and inherited that debt.
That's important. You just keep going.
You just keep going. You just keep plugging away at it. And actually, I waddled through school. I was pregnant with my 3rd child, working full time when I was finishing up my degree. And I took my final exam. A couple of classes didn't transfer well, so I picked up general ed stuff at a community college, did online classes, and I took my final exam from a hotel room because we were transferring the next day. We were moving to another state. So I got my diploma in the bell went, yay, and put it in a box because I was moving again.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of people in my class would understand that because they're all non-traditional. They're all going online and have lives and children and busy stuff. And
I was a single mom working full-time, going to college full-time. When I started, I was 22 years old. And I look back now and wonder where that woman went because I don't have that kind of energy anymore. Yeah, I was like, how did I do all that? So it's doable. Anybody that says, "Oh, I don't have time,"
you just gotta be willing to put the time in.
You just gotta be willing to do it.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so Life Source, I started out there. It was a blood bank, so it was nonprofit or not for profit.
Okay.
We did charge for services like the hospitals for the blood, but we couldn't. You could only make so much. It's always supposed to be enough to cover your expenses, your operating cost, and you're allowed to have so much in the bank, but it has to kind of be geared towards a specific project. You've got to be earmarked. You know, it's restricted funds that are going to be used for whatever. So anybody that wants to start a nonprofit, it's completely different from business.
Oh yeah. It sounds like it.
And it just like a normal business, it's completely different on the tax implications, how it goes
sounds
through.
like you would almost have to right off the bat get an accountant.
An accountant or an
somebody
attorney.
to help you
Yeah,
understand that.
and going through that process, most nonprofits involve an attorney at least.
Oh yeah.
Because writing your bylaws and there's a lot of things that go into it because you have to have a board of directors, board of trustees that oversee, and there's a lot of responsibilities on your board members that a lot of people don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do want to have an attorney or small business centers like we have here. There are places that you can go that they can help or they can get you to the expert that'll help.
Right.
A lot of people will volunteer their time,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're doing a nonprofit that's meant to be a community-based help out the community.
Yeah.
Then you can get some pro bono work done.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and it depends on what your nonprofit's going to be, obviously. But there's a lot of people that donate time. And I mean, of course, if you want to, you can go online and read it all. And if you're capable of making sense out of it, go for
Good
it.
luck to you.
I was raised by an attorney, so I don't try to make sense out of that gibberish.
I mean, sometimes you're just better off getting an expert. You can wing a lot of stuff when you start a business when it comes to marketing or things like that, just trying to figure things out, especially with what's online. But I can't imagine.
There's some things you just don't want to try to figure out on
It's
your own.
foolish.
You just
Yeah.
really don't. And that's something I preach a whole lot of. My degree is in training and organizational development. So my background is really trying to build your workforce.
Yeah.
And make it sustainable to improve company cultures so that people like to work there. 70% of people leave their job because of poor management or
Yeah.
an unpleasant workplace, not because of money.
Yeah.
Everybody's always, oh, they got more money. No, they probably weren't happy. And that's true. I mean, it's just kind of an unfortunate statistic that we have. So a lot of what I did in the different nonprofits was coming in and cleaning things up
Yeah.
or organizing things or taking a look at staffing or management just in general.
Right.
Being that person that comes in and can look at it from outside
Mm-hmm.
and what works and what doesn't.
Well, I can imagine turnover. Do you think turnover is higher in nonprofit because of the pay kind of issues?
You know,
Is that a factor?
10 years ago, I'd have given you a different answer. Used to be, nonprofits didn't pay well, but their benefits were better.
Yeah.
Because they got better rates on insurance and stuff. I can remember at LifeSource, now again, this would be 18, 19 years ago, but I paid $7.25 bi-weekly for my Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance.
That's like a dream.
Yeah. And of course we had military insurance,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I
which
didn't
is-
need it,
right.
but I mean $7.25 every other week. I got it for me
Yeah.
to cover because like during my pregnancy I didn't go to the base doctors. They
Right.
wouldn't take me, so I had to go out. So it covered what TRICARE wouldn't cover. I got a nicer room basically. But yeah, you would get more PTO time off. Nonprofits tend to try to give more of that because they don't pay as well, but a lot
Right.
of times the benefit package can be better. Again, it depends on their size.
Yeah.
At the community kitchen, the soup kitchen that I was the director of, I was the only employee.
Right.
I think I got 1 week paid vacation and that was about it. So it really depends on the size and what you're going to do in them. And a lot of them, it's considered a nonprofit, but it's run like a business.
Right.
LifeSource Blood Services was a huge blood bank. It covered all of Chicago, part of lower Wisconsin,
Wow.
upper Illinois. We had 750 employees.
Wow.
So it was a business. Even
Yeah.
though we were not for profit, it was business.
Right.
But I did work for Northern Trust Retirement Consultants for a while when we were in Atlanta. That was we ended up only being there 6 months. And I found out very quickly I did not like to bust my butt to make somebody rich. I'll bust my butt to help someone, but not to make somebody rich. I didn't enjoy it.
Right.
So that was a personal thing. I just didn't. Great employees. A wonderful company to work for.
Yeah.
They were actually bought out by Hewitt Associates, who is one of the top companies to work for in the country.
Oh, wow.
Of course, that's also what they do is go tell other companies how to be good bosses. That's part of what
So
they
better
do.
make sure
So
that
they
they're
better,
doing that
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I almost took a job with them when we were in Illinois. I was offered a whole lot more money, but I loved the job I had, and I was learning a lot. And LifeSource matched the salary that I was offered, so I stayed.
Oh, yeah.
And the commute was 10 miles longer. I would have been closer to home, more money. But they had a huge, beautiful cafeteria and really great food. It was all free.
Oh,
Vending
wow.
machines on every table, every
Nice.
floor is all free. I mean, just all kinds of those little things that you do. Gym memberships. Some of their facilities have daycare on site that's free. So all those little things that make work easier.
Yeah.
Of course, the payout is productivity's better.
Sure, people are happier.
Yeah, they're happy. They work better.
Right.
You know, they have all this stuff right there. You don't have to worry about daycare for your kids. You know, you don't have to
That's
worry about
huge.
fixing your lunch every morning before you come to work
Yeah.
or blowing money. You know, it
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
So somebody who was starting a small nonprofit who can't offer all that, like, what if you were thinking outside the box or personal experience or whatever, like, what are, like, I mean, would it just be the environment? That's about
It
to do is be
really-
flexible and, you
It
know.
really is. When you look at something like, you know, I was the director of the Red Cross here, and I was the director of the community kitchen here. Both cases, I was the only actual employee. I
Right.
had lots of volunteers. It's the environment, and it's finding people that, I guess, like me, that what I get out of work, you know, what I personally
Yeah.
get from it is more important to me
Right, yeah,
than a big paycheck,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Wish I wasn't like that.
Yes, you know, I would much rather have, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is, and it's how you treat people.
Yeah.
When you work in nonprofits and you have to rely on volunteers all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, volunteers aren't getting a paycheck at all.
Yeah.
They are getting something personally out of it, so you have to learn how to figure out what that is for each individual volunteer
Oh, wow.
and make sure that that's fed. Because they can just walk out on them, I mean, yeah.
And
they
they're-
don't have to show up.
Yeah, no, they don't have to.
Yeah, they're giving you their time, but they're doing it. There's some kind of personal satisfaction that they're getting from it.
Mhm.
And you have to be able to figure that out. And you kind of, and I'm not saying you cater to volunteers. I have had to fire a volunteer before.
Right.
That's not the thing to do. You know, you should still have the rules, and most places you have a volunteer application. You want them to go through that same process
Mhm.
because they are acting as an employee just without the paycheck.
Right,
And
they're
a
still
lot of-
representing you and.
And a lot of nonprofits will actually have volunteers that have very specific roles. I mean, there are some nonprofit organizations out there that no one's paid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
well,
the Haywood Gleaners here is a good,
Mhm.
you know, the Haywood Gleaners, you know what gleaning is? Do you know
Yeah.
what they are? Okay. Well, I guess
I
somebody
do.
might, yeah.
I don't know if they do.
Anyway, they go in, when a farmer has like plowed their field of potatoes,
Mhm.
they'll come in afterwards and pick up all the ones the machines didn't get. And then they
It's not
ta-
easy work either.
It is not easy work, you know, and it's like a day's notice. They'll get a call from a farmer, they shoot out an email, and whoever can show up shows up.
Right.
Well, Jim and the folks that organize that, I mean, this is just something they do because they love it.
Right.
They love gardening, you know, they're all
Mhm.
gardeners anyway, but the produce they take to the different soup kitchens and churches, daycare centers, the places like that that can use it, like Lifespan, our new member that we just had the
Yeah.
ribbon cutting, they'll take it to them.
Oh,
So they, you know, and so they teach their adults with disabilities cooking techniques, and they actually have started gardening with them.
oh, that's cool.
So, but in that case, they're all volunteers. Nobody's getting paid for anything.
Yeah.
So you have to love what you do. Personalities can be a challenge in those cases because
Okay.
everybody's personally invested in it. You know, and I know you and I've talked before.
Mhm.
My personal feelings about things does not belong in the workplace. In
Right,
my opinion,
right.
I've always kind of approached that way. We're not perfect. We all get irritated and frustrated, but
Right.
you know, truly at work, you should, whether you like someone or not, shouldn't have a bearing on whether you work well with them.
No, you have to keep a certain amount of like respect
you do.
regardless.
It should always be about what's best for the business you're in and not what I personally want. And that's very, very difficult for people to do. And
Yeah.
that is one of your biggest challenges as a nonprofit because everybody's personally invested in it.
And they're like so important to the nonprofit.
Yes.
So
It
yeah,
is.
you would have to spend a lot of time really developing that as a skill, learning how to
It is.
to juggle people like
How
that.
to juggle
keep them
people
happy.
and how to, you know, but when to also, the way you go about, because you still have to discipline people if you're the
Mhm.
one in charge. you still have expectations. Things still need to be getting done at specific times. You have deadlines, you have responsibilities, you have reports due to your board. I mean, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And your board are volunteers. You know, they're volunteering their time as well, and that can really be one of the biggest challenges that I've seen in nonprofits in general is the relationship between the staff and the board. It is the most important relationship in the whole thing, and each knowing their roles.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it gets very fuzzy line there, and in a lot of nonprofits, they're flipped, they're backwards.
Right. I want you to talk about, because we've talked about it before, like the way you see a board, like who you want on it, and how the sort of dynamics should work with a healthy board and a healthy owner.
You want a lot of variety on your board. Different demographics. You want different ages, male, female, different professions. You kind of want to get the gambit as best you can. A good board, you want to have somebody that does accounting to be your treasurer. I mean, you know,
right.
you do. You want somebody that's very familiar with accounting processes to be your treasurer, because they're responsible. There's anybody that's a board member, that the term is time treasurer, talents, time, and treasure. And that's what a board member is expected. They're expected to give their time, they're expected to give their talent, and give their treasure, their money. They financially support your organization as well. And so you look for people that are able to do that, and those talents are different and varied.
Right.
A board's job is policy and overseeing the big picture kind of thing.
Right.
Staff's job is day-to-day operations. So boards don't need to come in and dictate how you do your day at work.
Right.
And it can be very different, especially really small nonprofits, because a lot of time it's a group of people, like the community kitchen. Group of people saw the need. There was a desperate need for a food pantry, soup kitchen in Canton. I mean, if folks can't afford food, they can't afford to drive to Waynesville, and that was the only place that we had one. And so they got together, and they had an accountant, an attorney, people donate their time, and they created this soup kitchen. The Open Door, which is the soup kitchen here, helped them. Like, you know, helped them, even paid their rent for like 6 months for them. And, you know, but gave them all the information so they didn't have to go and figure it out from scratch.
Right.
And so that's another resource, is to go to somebody that does a nonprofit similar to what you're wanting to do.
Right.
Most of the time they'll help, you know.
Yeah. Especially if they're not right in your direct.
If you're not going to be battling out over stuff. I mean, there's a concern because donors, you know, if you have, the biggest example of that here in Haywood County would be all of our animal rescues.
Yeah, we do.
We have so many of them, and they're fighting for the same donors.
Yeah.
And at one point, there was discussion of them all coming under one umbrella, but nobody wanted to lose their identity. They didn't want to give up their name and their identity, so they stayed separate. And there was,
you divide the funds.
Yeah, it was a whole big mess.
Yeah.
I was probably about 10 years ago. I brought after the market crash, because nonprofits were hurt really bad by that market crash.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this group got together, so they were personally vested because they were boots on the ground, doing the work. And that transition, it's like raising a child. They were, it's a baby. Everybody's helping the baby, and then it becomes a toddler. Well, you no longer have to help it walk.
Yeah.
You just have to guide, and as your child grows, you as a parent, what your role is changes.
Yeah.
Same thing with a board.
Oh yeah.
As your business grows, then your responsibility as a board changes. You're no longer the hands-on, boots on the ground working board.
Right.
You go to being what a board should be, and you're the face of the nonprofit. You are the person going out there getting money for the nonprofit. Making sure bylaws are followed, the overall, if there's some big decision, like you want to go a different direction or change policy, some major stuff, that's what your board does. Their job is to make the staff's life easier.
Ideally.
Yes. That is, and this is actually not my words, this comes from a gentleman that came in, and we did board training at the community kitchen, because we were in that growth, very painful growth process of shifting from a working board, and our board members still did volunteer time at the kitchen, and that's a requirement. But it was getting them to understand it's your job to get all those sponsors for the golf tournament, honestly. Not my job to do it by myself.
Right,
you know,
right.
Here's a list. Go contact these
connections.
and that's just it. They do. They're the people in your community that have the connections, and that's what you need.
Absolutely.
So it's a balance that you want to maintain, and you want it to be a healthy relationship. But boards are, again, like families. You fight sometimes, and you don't get along, and you want to throw stuff at each other, and it happens because, again, it's a personal investment. And
so it's got, you've got an emotional attack. That always makes it a little bit harder. Yeah.
You have an emotional attachment to it, so it's and I've worked with good boards, bad boards, in between boards. You know, I've worked with a little bit of both. I've worked with good staff, bad staff, and I can tell you I'm the pain in the butt director. I mean, I'll own in one bit. I said, I know I drive y'all crazy, and I just did, but I also...
You're getting stuff done now. You know?
Well, and you get passionate about it.
Sure.
You know, when you talk about staff, people that go into nonprofit, and that kind of becomes where their career is, it's a passion.
Yeah.
So... The money's not it. It's the passion for whatever it is that you're doing, and that's why
you're creating an environment where they feel like they're accomplishing their mission.
Yes,
then
making
that's
a difference.
Give a whole lot of back to them that money wouldn't.
Money, money's not everything. I mean, we all want to be able to pay our bills and maybe retire someday. Well, I don't see that happening for me ever. I'll be like my father and.
To the burner end.
I'll be late to my own funeral because I'll be sending one more email out.
You will. That's a good one.
I also think I probably would lose my mind if I retired. I don't know that I could. We'll see. I got a few years before that comes out. I would just be volunteering all over the place. I would be that paid into that volunteer at that point. But so it's not the money's not the thing for the most part. It really is. Money's important, but most people in a nonprofit area, it's a passion.
Sure.
And some though, there's good and bad to it, because when someone does something because of the personal gain, it's called with them in HR. What's in it for me? With them. And that is a term in management and human resources. It's old. It'll never go away. Because as a manager, when you get to that level, if you're an entrepreneur and you start a small business and you have people working for you, what's in it for me? That is it. Everybody's angle.
That's really your angle.
Yeah, it really truly is. It's we're human people. This is it. This is kind of how it is. Nonprofit people want to help, and they have a passion for helping, but they're still getting something out of it.
Sure. But maybe in the end, really what they're looking for is easier to feed than what your average person in an office is looking for.
And it can also be the dark side of that.
Yes.
Is that if something, you can run into a situation where someone almost defines themselves by their job, their role, their importance.
Oh yeah.
And that can become very detrimental. Extremely detrimental, and it can destroy a work environment in general.
Oh, yeah.
You get that person like, ooh, look at me, look what I did. That has to be ego stroked all the time.
They're really doing the nonprofit because they think it makes them look good to do the nonprofit.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not so much about helping people. It's about look at me, look how great I am because I'm helping people.
Yeah, and that's not.
And you can. You're going to run into that. If you're in nonprofit long enough, you're going to run into it. Of course, you have that in business too.
Sure.
I have seen it more so in nonprofits than anything else. But for the most part, most people that are in nonprofits is because they just love what they do.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to work yourself more into the ground in a nonprofit because you have that emotional attachment you would not have as a banker?
It really can be, and it's what you're passionate about. Because I remember talking to real estate brokers, and I think if there had ever been, I considered getting out of nonprofit and going that route at one point. I liked the freedom of it, but they work tireless hours.
any hour people are
yeah,
calling
and people calling you, they want to go see you on the weekends, and you know, you show someone 5,000 houses, and then they don't go buy one. I mean, you spend a lot of money, you didn't get paid, and I mean, it's a tireless job at times, and so you're like, you wear yourself out, work yourself into the ground. But a lot of real estate brokers, you have ones that they can make a lot of money. So some, it's about the money, but some of them, the thrill they get of like helping that couple buy their first home.
Yeah.
You know, there's really something that goes into that's a passion and very rewarding when you help someone find their dream home.
I can see that.
Yeah. You know, so you can have that kind of passion. I mean, people have that in for-profit, non-for-profit, both things. But you know, non-profits, most people that stay in non-profit because the money isn't as good.
Right.
It's just not going to be.
Yeah.
They stay in it because of passion. Like, I know you've seen all those things on Facebook that talk about how much CEOs of nonprofits make. One, they're inaccurate because I work for the Red Cross. I know how much Gail McGovern made.
Yeah.
I also know that Gail McGovern found out she had breast cancer, had a procedure, and was in Haiti after the earthquakes 3 weeks later.
Wow.
And she was going through chemo.
Wow.
So, yeah, she made a lot of money to some people, but you take a CEO of a Fortune 500 company that has 20,000 employees and 200,000 volunteers, they're being paid millions of dollars.
Comparatively, it's not
nothing.
even close. Yeah.
And you have to have that caliber of a person to run a nonprofit that large.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you have to be able to compete to some extent. When you
Sure.
start getting these large nonprofits, now a lot of them do waste a lot of money. I'm sorry if you're going on a board retreat to Hawaii at a 5-star hotel. Might not be okay. Your donors may not like that at all. But you still, when it gets that large, it's a business.
Yeah, that's true. And you need the kind of people who can run large businesses.
They can run
There's a
large
lot more
businesses.
involved in it than.
And you know, you've got to be able to, I mean, obviously they're making way less than what they could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they could go be somewhere else and
That's
make a
true.
whole lot more money. So again, it's that passion. It's just a different personality.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that one's better or worse. I don't want anybody to think I'm like bashing the executives of for-profit companies
You're
by
just
any
saying,
means.
by example,
Yeah.
you can't judge. They should be making a decent amount of money.
A decent amount of money,
Right,
yeah.
there's a lot of-
People need to kind of step back.
Yeah.
But when you're working with donors, you have to be very careful about how you spend your money.
Well, I bet people feel
Yes.
like they can question you up and down.
They
about
do.
Where your money's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, nonprofit, your records are public records. If somebody comes in, and I mean, the chamber, it's not my responsibility here.
Yeah.
You know, that would be Cece's, but Community Kitchen, I hadn't been there very long at all, and I had a gentleman walk through the doors and sit down and introduce himself, and had read enough history to know he was one of the founders, and he had put tens of thousands of dollars into the kitchen.
Oh wow.
The $40,000 we had sitting in a building fund had come from him.
Oh wow.
It was from him. So I knew who he was when he introduced himself. But he just started drilling me with questions. He said, "I want to see your financials." I'm printing out our end of the month statements, and I'm walking them through them. I said, "It's not pretty right now." I was like, it's just not pretty where we're sitting, but here it is. This is
We're working
where
on
we
it.
are. They hadn't paid bills in 3 months, and just, this is where we are. And you do.
Yeah.
And like that, again, it depends on, and donor information. You'll have people come in and question how much a donor gave you.
Wow, they can do that?
Oh, yeah, I don't answer those questions.
Yeah, it seems like that'd be probably.
Yeah, no, and I don't.
Right.
It's donor records. It's kind of a fine line, but I don't.
Right.
If the donor wants to reveal how much they've given,
Right, people
know,
that like
then-
publicize it.
yeah,
for sure.
then you can. And the truth is, with the way the laws are now, you can go and find anybody's tax returns. You can pay to get a copy of somebody else's tax returns. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
No privacy. But that's a whole nother subject.
No.
But you'll have. I've had at the Red Cross, we had a massive mudslide out on Rich Cove Road, Maggie Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Retaining wall came down from Ghost Town.
Oh,
Dropped about 15,000 tons of tree and debris down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And the retaining wall, the original one that was behind it, we didn't know if it was going to go or not. And it was a situation where there was a donation made to help the families that obviously had to leave, we had to pull out of their homes.
Oh, yeah.
And the media was involved, and they wanted to know how much the donor had given. And I'm like, I don't release donor information. You'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
Well, he told us to come to you. I'm like, sorry.
Prove that.
Yeah. Well, and actually he had. He just said a significant
Right.
amount, and it wasn't. But,
He probably didn't want you to really say.
no, just it was called throwing someone else under the bus, so to speak. But it's just things you're going to deal with.
Yeah.
And you cannot run a nonprofit without your donors. And there's a fine line between, well, unless you're like the chamber. In the case of a soup kitchen, the hardest part about this, you sell nothing.
Yeah, good feelings.
So, yeah, you have to raise the money to buy the stuff that you're giving to other people. You're not selling a product.
You have absolutely no income stream.
So there's no income stream other than you live completely off of donations, grants, sponsorships, other people giving you money.
Wow.
So everything you do can get scrutinized.
Yeah, you're just up there.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing I wanted to talk about is grants. Because we
Grants.
kind of talk about that. I know that's like a huge, since we kind of were
Yeah.
talking about that. Grants is, a big one I would suspect, especially something like yours.
Well, it is. And there's, grant writing is kind of nightmarish.
Mhm.
It seems, for most people, I know for me, it was terrifying the first time I wrote a grant. I felt like I had no clue what I'm doing. It's, our budget is reliant on this, and it was a United Way grant. It was, with the Red Cross. I had written like little one page, fill this out, and somebody would give money to the family support group for the Navy.
Right.
That way we could have a big celebration when the ship came home. I had done little things like that.
Yeah.
But a real grant with all the questions and the supporting documentation, and you have to break down your budget into certain categories and where the money's going to go, and they vary. Some can be a few pages. The biggest one I've ever done was 62 pages long. $50,000 though.
Well,
So we got it. It was
but-
worth-
but,
It's a tremendous amount of work, but it can be very daunting. But there is, you turn to somebody that's done it before.
Yeah.
Most people that have written grants for nonprofits are more than happy to talk to people.
Yeah.
There's information online. There's great resources, websites that are free that are online. One of the hardest things is finding grants that fit.
Oh.
There's a lot of requirements to be eligible for a grant, and so you will spend grant research. I've spent hundreds of hours, and you go to a page and you start reading. Nope, sorry, we're not qualified. Reading. Dang it, not this one either. Some little thing you don't fit.
Right.
But there's programs out there like Grant Station's a really good one.
Mhm.
And if you're going to be in a nonprofit, you need to get very familiar with a website called TechSoup.
Okay.
TechSoup is for nonprofits, libraries, and schools, and you submit your 501(c) status. It's 501(c), not like the chamber can't use it. It's
Right.
a 501(c). There's always certain nonprofits. However, you get software for next to nothing.
Ooh.
I
wish we
paid
qualified for that.
$55 for 2017 QuickBooks Premium with the nonprofit version with free users.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's like a $400 or $500
Yeah,
program.
yeah,
I got
that's
for
great.
$55. So TechSoup's great.
TechSoup,
And they
okay.
do refurbish computers and stuff as well. There's other things, Microsoft, all the big companies, Adobe. I know Photoshop, I think, was going to cost me $40. I was getting ready to buy it, and no, Adobe Acrobat. Sorry, Adobe Acrobat. But anyway, Grant Station is expensive. I want to say it's about $400 or $500 a year subscription.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually run a special through TechSoup
Oh, nice.
once a year, and you get it for $99 for the year. So I did that, and what it is it is a database of every grant out there.
Oh, wow.
So instead of Googling
Right.
and trying to
go from
find on
page
your
to
own,
page.
you've got this massive database, and like at the soup kitchen, food pantry, brick and mortar buildings. Like when we purchased the 7,000 square foot building to renovate it, I needed grants.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Oh, yeah.
There was no way we were going to renovate that building without grant money. So I, researched grants specific to building projects.
Right.
Because a lot of places they don't a lot of people don't believe that nonprofits should own property. There's a whole thing about that. There's two, but it's, so there's not, like banks don't want to loan nonprofits money for a building project right off the bat. It's harder for a nonprofit to get a loan than it is a business.
Oh, wow.
Well, because
you're not going to show, you're supposed to show a profit. So
Yeah.
how do you prove to a...
Are you at least operating in the black?